Oh hey, I didn't see you there. I've been trying to work on this new project I got for the light show. It's nothing big or anything, and it's just for Halloween. It's just a little tiny fog machine. Nothing super cool. Just creates a lot of fog. If you want to find out more about it, stay tuned. We have a pretty awesome unboxing today. It's been a couple months since I've done an unboxing. I think since the panel, when I got the panel. So I haven't had an unboxing in a while. And I made a ton of unboxings before, but none lately. And today we have this awesome item that I'm going to be unboxing. Now I'm sure, looking at the picture, you could probably guess what this is. For the Halloween light show, we have decided to add a fog machine. The Christmas light show has its own special item. It has the bracelets that sync to the lights. But we don't use those in the Halloween show, so we thought the Halloween light show needed something unique just for that, and we decided to get a fog machine. This is a Rockville, I think this is a 400 watt fog machine. There's all of the specs right here if you want to pause it and look at it. The size of it is 14 inches by 7.9 inches by 9.8 inches. It can apparently output 12,000 cubic feet per minute of fog. There are 7 DMX channels in it, so this can be controlled with my F16 V3, and when I get my F16 V5, if I use that in the Halloween light show next year, I should be able to control it with that too. It was a little bit over $100, I think, so wasn't terrible. I've never used the fog machine before, so I don't know if this is good quality. I don't know if this sucks. We're gonna find out. Enough talking, let's open it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, a lot of stuff in here. What is this? This is a remote for it. This is the remote. There are a ton of buttons on here. Oh my goodness. This is if you were not using DMX, you could plug this in and you can like set it yourself with this little remote. What do we have here? This is the power cable. Here we have some hardware. Oh, and a little remote. Let me open this. This is the wireless remote. So pull that little antenna up. Hit. Oh, that's fancy. Okay, so I need to figure out what all this does. And then, oh, we have the instructions. Very important. I'm gonna have to look through this because I have absolutely no idea how to use this. Here's the whole manual. It's only 2 pages, so that's not that bad. This thing is decently heavy. How do I pull it out? I'm assuming just like that. Yeah, it's pretty heavy. I'm knocking stuff all over the floor. Here is the main part of the fog machine right here. Bracket for it. This is the container right here where you store all of the juice. Right there is where the fog comes out. Caution, high temperature, do not touch. Good to know. This is the Rockville R1200L. I think that's a little hook right here so you can hang it. Maybe? I'm not sure. It's like, can't come out. What do we have on the back side? Okay, so you have your main power that comes in here. On-off switch. The remote plugs in here. And this is the DMX. So this is what would plug into my controller. I have these little thingamabobbers that I bought when I got my bracelet transmitter. These are an Ethernet to I think this is like a microphone cable plug, and this is what most DMX things use. So that can plug right in there to the input, and then I can plug this into my F16 V3. Got a little menu and some numbers that can light up, and right here we can see how full the container is. So there's no other buttons on here. It's mostly going to be controlled by my controller. It said 4 to 5 minutes startup time. So I don't know if that means when you give it the signal to output fog, that's going to take 4 to 5 minutes. Or if it takes 4 to 5 minutes when you first turn it on, and then whenever you give it the signal, it can instantly put it out. I'm not sure. This is going to be plugged into my smart plugs. So they are all on a schedule to turn on and off all the controllers, everything for the show. 10 minutes before, turn it on, and 10 minutes after, turn it off. So as long as this starts up before the show, this should be fine. So what we're gonna have to do is do some looking in the manual to see which DMX channels go where. There's 7 channels, which I think is a lot because I think there'd only be 1 for the fog and then 3 for the different LEDs. Now on here, it's talking about some things with the remote. Before I go on and show any more of this, I'm just gonna read it all and then I'll talk about it. So it's now been a couple of weeks since I got the fog machine, and I've done some testing with it, and I figured out mostly how everything works, and I wanted to talk about the 2 remotes that come with it now. I forgot to mention, but I got this fog machine off of Amazon, but you can also find it on the Rockville website. I'm not sure of the price of it there, but I think on Amazon it was like $130 or something. I'll put a link to it in the description. But like you saw in the unboxing, it came with 2 remotes. One is wireless, and then this other one is wired, and it plugs into the back of the fog machine right here with this cord. I think this cord is 25 feet long. I think that's what it said in the manual. I'll put the exact length on the screen. And then this can work from up to 65 feet away, it says. If I can remember correctly, the number 4 button, that adjusts the color on the fog machine. So if you hit it, it will change colors, and then you can keep hitting it and it will cycle through all the colors and it will turn off. And then the other ones have something to do with music or sound, where it will listen for sound to change the colors and change the fog. But most of the buttons on here only adjust the colors, whereas this one, you can adjust more stuff with the fog. So the first thing are these 3 buttons at the bottom. If you hold this, it'll just keep putting out fog until you let go. It'll put out the maximum amount of fog. This button right here uses the timing interval. So if I hit this and set it to the maximum interval, that means it will wait the maximum interval until it will output fog. And then I could put it up to the maximum amount. So now I switch it over to max. Now I'll put out as much fog as possible, and I can set for how long the fog goes. And then to be honest, I don't really know what this red button does. It almost follows the same pattern as if you hit the yellow button, so I didn't notice a difference. The only time I used this was when I was testing it, and I just used the green button. I didn't use anything else. And when the show is running, I won't use this at all. It will just go right off of the controller. Now, I only had one small problem with the fog machine when I got it. I was testing it for the show at night, making sure everything worked. And then halfway through a song, it was running the effects normally, and then all of a sudden, it acted like it was frozen, and it just kept spitting out fog, and it would not stop. It was stuck on the color white, and nothing would happen. And I ran over, I was trying to hit all the buttons to turn it off. Nothing would work, it would not turn off, so I just had to pull the cord to get it to turn off. And then also on the display on the back, it was showing one little line on one of the numbers where it was supposed to show letters and some other things that mean certain codes on how it's working, but it was only showing one line, so I had no idea what was going on. So I thought maybe the effect I had it doing froze it somehow, so I just tried to go back to testing, and it did it again the next night. Now, the only problem with this is, depending on if it's a weekend or a weekday, the show can be running anywhere from 3.5 to 4 hours long. And the fog machine isn't running that whole time, it's only doing bursts at certain songs. But if it was to freeze and just start spitting out fog and I wasn't home or I didn't notice, it would be spitting out fog for 4 hours straight. And this thing can put out a lot of fog. Here's some pictures I took while I was testing. And I had to adjust the levels because even with a very low amount of bursts, it was fogging up the whole neighborhood, and I didn't want anyone to think there's a fire. So if this thing froze and kept spitting out fog, it would fog up the entire neighborhood. You wouldn't be able to see anything, and then it would run out of fog juice eventually, and then it could overheat and burn the thing, because if you put no juice in it and try and run it, it has problems. But it gets super hot, so if it was continually spitting out fog, there's probably a chance that a fire could start even because of how hot it gets. So I emailed the company, asked them what the heck is going on. Is this something wrong with the fog machine, or is it something wrong I'm doing? And they said it's probably defective because it's not supposed to show the line that it does on the display. So I sent that one that you saw in the unboxing back, and I got a new one, unboxed that, hooked it all up. It's working fine so far, thankfully, haven't had that problem. And actually, at the time of recording this, the show has been running for 3 nights now. The fog machine has been working fine. In the manual, it says it can be used for indoor or outdoor use, but then somewhere else it says do not get wet, do not let it touch any water. So it's not actually the best thing for outdoors. So I built a little box for it, and the first 2 nights of the show, it downpoured while the fog machine was running. Thankfully, no water got in, the box held up, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. And then the final thing I want to talk about is how much of the fog juice it uses. I don't know why it's called fog juice, but it's the liquid that you put in the container in the back. With the fog machine, I also got 2 gallons of the juice that's made just for it. And at the first night of the show, I filled it up all the way. And then afterwards, I went to check it, and it took slightly more than a third of the container. And this was running it on one of the nights where there's an extra 30 minutes for the show. So if it was running during the week, I could probably get 3 days of it without having to fill it up. But if it was running on a weekend, I could probably only get 2 shows and I have to fill it up. The only flaw with the box I built is it's extremely hard to take the thing out. I have to reach my hand in there, unplug it, unlock it, bring it out, put it in the garage and fill it up. Then take it back out, try and get the Ethernet cable in and the power cord in, and then lock it back in. And if it's raining when I have to do this, it's even worse. So right now I've been filling it up every other night, but that's because it's been running on a weekend. So throughout the week, I'm gonna see if I can go every 3 days, but I'm not sure yet. But now I want to take you outside to show you the fog machine, how it's connected to the controller and the box it's in. And then afterwards, I'll take you onto my computer to show you how it is set up in Xlights. So right here is the box for the fog machine. These are the 5 arches right here. And the fog machine sits underneath the middle one and in this box so it doesn't get wet. And then it shoots the fog out this way. So right here I have the power cord. It plugs into this divider. This is the main extension cord that goes that way, and it gives power to this controller box, and then gives power to the fog machine right there. And then these 2 Ethernet cables also come down here with it. One of them goes into this box for the differential receiver in there, and then the other one comes over here and has the DMX data that it feeds to the fog machine. And then in the back, you can see the cords come into the back. That's where everything plugs in. And then I was very paranoid because of things that have happened here in the past. For those of you that don't know, about 3 years ago, someone came and cut a bunch of the lights. So I have it locked into this box so no one can just come and walk away the fog machine. And then this is screwed into the arch. So if you want to try and walk away with this, you have to walk away with the whole arch. But the only hard thing, like I said, is anytime I want to fill up the fog, I have to unlock it, unplug everything from the back, pull the thing out, and I didn't put any other doors on it, so that's the only little flaw on here. But I made it really long, that way I could push the fog machine back and not worry about rain going sideways into it. The box is just built out of spare materials from the panel and then some other wood that we have. And it's mostly just covered by this thin board, but it does pretty good. Water does get in a little bit on the cracks on the side, but since this has so much room and it's in the middle, it's fine, nothing has touched it yet. And then I even put tape on the sides of it just to help the amount of water that gets in, so not that much comes. And then we have boards on the bottom so it sits level with the arch. And that's really everything for the little box right here for the fog machine. So far it's been working good. I'll show you where this Ethernet cable goes into the garage with the controller box. So this is the main controller box right here. There's a ton of stuff over here because I'm trying to clean and get ready for the Christmas show too. In here though is the main F16V3. And I have the F16V3 differential expansion board. But the Ethernet cable comes up through, I think it's this cable right here. And then it comes in and is plugged into the bottom Ethernet port on the side. Now you might be asking, why is there tape around the Ethernet cable? Well, I broke it. So now let's go take a look at Xlights and how I have the fog machine set up on there. So here's my Halloween layout inside of Xlights. And I actually have 2 DMX props set up in here. I have the fog machine, and this is the fog machine right here. And then I have the bracelets transmitter, which is this little blob right there. But I didn't program the bracelets in any of the songs. I thought about using the bracelets in the Halloween show, but I wanted to keep those special just for Christmas, and then have the fog machine, the unique item for Halloween. Now the fog machine is super easy to set up inside of Xlights because it's a DMX item. It can run with DMX data. This is going to be somewhat like the video I made about the bracelets and how those work in Xlights and stuff, except I set the fog machine up a little bit differently. So like I said earlier in the video, the fog machine takes 7 channels. The first one is the fog output, and I'm actually going to go over into the sequencer so I can show you this. These are the 7 channels right here if you were to use a DMX effect to control the fog machine. And the first slider would be the fog output. So if I put this at the minimum 0, that means no fog is coming out. If I put it at the max 255, that means all of the fog possible that it can spit out at once is coming out. And then if I put it like in the middle, that's half the fog. The next 3 channels, channels 2, 3, and 4, are the color channels. So channel 2, this is the red LED. So if it's at 0, the red LED is off. If it's at 255, the red LED is on full brightness. The third one is the green LED. If it's at 0, fully off. 255, fully on. And the fourth channel is the blue LED. So if it was at 255, fully on. If it's at 0, fully off. So if I wanted to make the color purple show up on the fog machine, I would turn channel 2 and channel 4 all the way on at 255, because when you have red and blue on at the same time, that makes purple. If I wanted like orange, I think it's a mix of red and green. I think mostly red and then a little bit of green. Something like this would make orange. Channel 5 is the strobe control. So if you wanted to strobe, you could turn this up. And I think if I remember correctly, if it's at the max, that means there's going to be a long pause of off, and they'll quickly flash, and then a long pause of off. And then the lower you get, it will flash quicker and quicker, but if it's at 0, it won't flash at all. So 1 would be the quickest amount of flashing, and 255 would be the slowest amount of flashing, but 0 is off. Channel 6 is the LED gradient, and then the final channel, channel 7, is the sound control. So if you want the fog machine to do certain things based on sound, you would turn this on. But the instructions say that for this to work, it has to be anywhere between the numbers 251 and 255. So if you want it off, just don't use the last few numbers, or just keep it at 0. But if you want it on, you could put in any number from 251 to 255 to make it listen for sound and then flash based on if there's a lot of sound or not. But for me, and probably for most of you, you'll only care about the first 4 channels. Channel 1, the fog output. 2, the red LED, 3, the green LED, and 4, the blue LED. So in the layout, the model I used was the DMX General model, and I put that on here. The number of channels, I put in 7, and then I put in the red, the green, and the blue channel. That way I can use color effects, and it'll automatically adjust those channels for me. There is no white channel, so I left that at 0, and that's all I had to do to set the model up in Xlights. And then finally, just quickly, I'm going to show you how I sequence the fog machine, and I'm going to bring my house preview in. I'll move it over here. Now, one hard thing about having a fog machine and trying to program it is you can never actually predict how it will look, because all fog machines are different. If you have channel 1 or whatever channel your fog machine is for the fog coming out set to the max, that can look different from fog machine to fog machine. If you have a super expensive high-end fog machine, it will probably put out tons of fog, and it would fog up your whole neighborhood in probably a few minutes. Whereas mine, it's not that powerful, so I would have to sequence based on how my fog machine is. And then in your preview, you can't see where the fog will go or how it will look. And that's another hard thing. You'll have to sequence it, then go and look at how the lights look with it in person, then come back in and reprogram. I had to tweak all of my sequences 3 to 4 times just to get the right amount of fog to come out, because I'd either have too much or too little, or these colors wouldn't look right. And then the wind also has a factor on it. If it's a windy night, the fog will just instantly blow away, and they'll look like I don't have enough fog. But if it's not windy at all, the fog will actually just stay in front of the display and not move, and then after a while, it'll build up, and you can't see that much of anything, and then it doesn't look good. So you have to find a good balance between that as well. But how I program the fog machine is I have 2 layers on it, and the top layer is where I do any of the color effects. So I'm going to put a timing mark here. And anytime I'm using the colors, I don't use the DMX effect, just because it's a pain to adjust each one of these and try and figure out the colors myself. So you can put any effect on here, and Xlights can automatically figure out the colors for you, as long as in the layout you told it which channels are which LEDs. So for example, I put a color wash on, and let's select a couple of colors, and let's speed it up. And now if you look right here, I zoomed in to the fog machine. You can see Xlights is automatically adjusting channel 2, 3, and 4 for me to match the colors I want. So if I put an on effect here and it's just white, it'll turn on all 3 of those channels for me. If I want yellow, it will turn on the red and the green channel to make yellow for me. If I want Halloween color orange, it'll automatically turn on the red channel all the way to the max, and then the green channel halfway through, because that would make orange. So I either use the color wash or the on effect when I am programming the colors for the fog machine. But when I'm actually going to adjust the fog output, I'll use the DMX effect on the other layer and just adjust channel 1 for how I want it. I'll also use value curves, so if I want the fog to slowly ramp up to the max, I'll just use that. And then now it slowly ramps up because I'm using the value curve, so it'll start at 0 and then build up to 255. I'll actually go now and show you one of my sequences with the fog machine so you can see how it looks. I can't play the music because it's copyright. But down here, I have the 2 layers for the fog machine. And this is in the song called Ah Woo. I think that's how you say it. It's by a band called, I think you pronounce it Lovecraft, but it's not spelt that way. This is personally my favorite song in the Halloween light show this year. And then there's a part of the song where it says Ah Woo over and over, and I wanted the fog machine to flash to that while putting out fog the entire time. So I put some on effects with the end intensity set to 0, and then just have the fog on the DMX effect set to 200, so almost the max, but not all the way. And now you can watch, and you can see the colors jump up and then fade out. So the first one is orange, and then you can see green, and then you can see purple because it's red and blue. Orange is red and green. If you'd like to see the video of this song with the lights, it's out on my other channel, Bridgeport's Brightest Lights. I'll put it on the top of the screen. But this is how I program my fog machine. I don't think there's a simpler way, and I don't think you really need a simpler way. It's not that hard to do it. I just let Xlights control the colors for me, and then I'll adjust the fog how I want it. So that is everything with the fog machine this year. A super cool thing we're adding to the show. I know I didn't discuss a ton of the setting up, especially on the Falcon controller side for DMX things, and that's because I've already done it with my bracelets video with the wireless bracelets. So if you'd like to see that, you can check out this video right here, or it might be over here, somewhere on the screen. And you can see all the steps setting up something DMX related, whether it be wireless bracelets, a fog machine, a flamethrower, moving parts, moving head, some fireworks that'll go off, I don't know. Anything DMX related, Falcon controllers can control. If you have any questions or comments, like always, feel free to put them down below in the comment section, and I'll try and answer them as soon as I can. But other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.